Okay, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a specific document, really zeroing in on the human rights situation facing Shia Muslims during May 2025.
That's right. We're essentially unpacking the monthly report from Shia Rights Watch, SRW. This covers the period May 1st to June 1st, 2025.
And it documents incidents of reported human rights violations in that window.
Exactly.
So our mission here, it's pretty straightforward. We want to explore this specific report, the one we were provided. We'll look at the kinds of incidents SRW highlights, pull out the key details they've documented.
And just help you navigate the information presented in this source material. It's a deep dive into the report itself.
Right. And it's important, I think, to understand how SRW says they put this together, their methodology.
They state they relied on their own sources and also public information. And they make a point of saying they actually didn't include some violations.
Oh.
Yeah, even ones they felt certain occurred because they lacked what they considered conclusive evidence. And they explicitly state their goal is justice and equality, not, political aims or profit.
Okay. So our focus then is strictly on conveying the content of this report, impartially. It's sensitive stuff, no doubt, but we're here to guide you through what the source claims happened based only on the information they compiled.
Let's get into it. The report starts by laying out its scope.
Setting the stage.
Right. It says it reviews, and I'm quoting here slightly, numerous terrorist operations carried out by extremist groups against Shia individuals, as well as acts of repression and abuse practiced against them by certain regimes and governments.
Okay, so right off the bat, the report frames things using those two sort of broad categories of alleged perpetrators, extremist groups and state actors.
Precisely. And then it goes country by country, documenting specific reported incidents, usually alphabetically, it seems.
All right. First up is Afghanistan.
Yes. The report highlights an attack on May 16th. This was in Safed Village, Basud District. That's in Medan Wardak Province.
And who does the report say carried this out?
According to SRW, it was armed groups reportedly affiliated with the Taliban, and they were accompanied by what the source calls nomadic elements. They allegedly targeted unarmed residents' homes. The report mentions looting, torture.
And what really stands out, based on the details in the report, is the alleged level of official involvement. SRW states this attack was reportedly supervised directly by the Taliban governor of the province, Hashim Huzaifa.
That's what the source claims, yes.
Yeah.
Involved about 20 armed individuals caused panic, and the report notes no immediate response documented from authorities.
And SRW offers an interpretation too, right?
They do. They describe this incident, or what they report happened, as part of a systematic policy, one aimed at land seizure and forced demographic changes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, the report explicitly compares this to ethnic cleansing practices allegedly carried out by the Taliban against residents in certain areas, particularly Basud, which SRW notes is predominantly inhabited by Shia Hazaras.
So the report connects a specific alleged incident to a much broader alleged policy.
Exactly. That's the connection SRW makes.
Okay, moving on. The report also covers Pakistan. Two distinct incidents mentioned there for May.
Yes. First, on May 14th, SRW reports a hand grenade attack in Quetta.
Okay.
It was apparently carried out by what the report calls a radical gunman. This happened at a pro-army public gathering.
And the results.
The source documents 1 death and 10 injuries from that attack.
And the second incident in Pakistan.
That was May 21st in Karachi. This involves civil authorities, according to the report.
How so?
In the Bahrain municipality, the report says civil authorities removed Husseini images and banners from Shia homes.
All right, important religious symbols.
And the report states threats were made cutting off water and electricity if people didn't comply. So SRW highlights this as targeting religious expression.
Got it. Okay, next country in the report is Bahrain.
Here, the focus in the SRW report shifts mainly to restrictions on religious practice.
Okay.
It reports that security authorities prevented Shia worshippers from holding Friday prayers throughout May.
How did they do that, according to the report?
It specifies that security forces set up cordons around the Imam al-Sadiq Mosque in Daraz village every Friday.
Every Friday in May.
And the report emphasizes the duration. It notes this marked the 34th consecutive week of such restrictions.
34 weeks. Wow. Okay, so the report sees this as a sustained, ongoing issue at that point.
That seems to be the implication, yes, based on their documentation.
Lebanon is also covered. An incident on May 8th.
Yes, the report notes intense air raids in southern Lebanon by an aircraft.
Where specifically?
It mentions Lebanese media reports saying the targets were the outskirts of Nabati al-Faqa, and that warplanes carried out over 15 strikes just in the Nabati district.
And the impact, according to the report.
Material damage, and it also instilled fear among the civilians living there.
Okay. Now, Syria. You mentioned this section is particularly detailed in the SRW report.
It really is. It covers numerous incidents across several provinces: Homs, Hama, Latakia, Tartus. The sheer volume listed suggests the report is trying to convey a very widespread and complex situation there during May 2025.
That amount of detail for one country is striking. How does the report organize it all? It must be a lot to track.
It mostly lists incidents chronologically, but you can definitely see patterns in the types of events SRW chose to document. You've got arrests and raids, then killings and shootings, and also things like kidnappings and disappearances.
Okay, maybe let's take those categories. First, what does the report detail about arrests and raids in Syria during that month?
All right, starting early in the month, May 1st. The report notes security forces raided Al-Rakama village, this is in eastern Homs countryside, identified by the report as an Alawite community. 5 civilians were reportedly arrested after a shooting incident there.
Okay.
Then on May 4th, SRW documents alleged threats. These were directed at Alawite families living near the Medza military airport in Damascus.
Threats of what?
Forced eviction. The report claims these came from armed factions affiliated with the Ministries of Defense and Interior. And importantly, without compensation or alternative housing offered, with the deadline set for the end of May.
And then an arrest of a professor.
Yes, May 6th. Dr. Kayat Mohammed, described as an assistant professor at Homs University, reportedly arrested during a raid in the Karm al-Zaytan neighborhood of Homs City.
By whom?
The report says it was by a group affiliated with General Security. His belongings were allegedly confiscated, no warrant, no explanation given, according to the source.
The report also seems to sometimes include kidnappings under this general heading, like on May 9th.
That's right. It mentions Mohammed Darwish, reportedly kidnapped from Sabora village in Hama countryside. The armed men apparently claimed affiliation with General Security. But the report states that authorities later denied any involvement. So, conflicting claims reported there.
Also on May 9th, attacks on homes in Tartus countryside.
Yes, multiple incidents reported. Armed men allegedly attacking homes, vandalizing property in Yamor and Kerbet Maza villages. And in Hababa village nearby, armed groups reportedly raided homes, damaged property, and kidnapped 10 residents.
Okay, moving through the month, May 12th.
A security patrol in Latakia in the El Datur neighborhood. They reportedly assaulted and arrested 2 young men and fired shots to disperse locals who gathered.
Now, May 13th in Homs, you flagged this day earlier. The report seems to describe a lot happening then.
It really does. The report paints a picture of sort of a wave of arbitrary raids, arrests, and sectarian assaults, primarily by armed groups. It lists quite a few specific incidents to back this up.
Such as?
Well, it mentions Shia youth returning from Lebanon being allegedly pulled off buses at a roundabout called Al-Mazra. They were reportedly beaten, insulted, then taken to unknown locations.
Okay.
And in Al-Tabatia village, an armed group allegedly stormed the place, assaulted residents, detained 14 young men, some of whom, the report notes, were still missing at the time of writing.
And similar things elsewhere.
Yes, the report mentions intense gunfire, random arrests targeting elderly people and youth in Al-Hazmiya village, causing widespread fear, according to SRW.
It also lists several Homs city neighborhoods affected by similar raids that day.
Al-Arman, Al-Muhajirin, Al-Sabil, Al-Aram, Al-Qudariya. The report states these resulted in arrests of Alawite civilians, accompanied by sectarian insults and random gunfire that apparently wounded a girl.
And the report mentions videos.
Yeah, and notes videos reportedly circulated online showing children screaming during these raids. The same pattern of raids and arrests was also reported in villages east of Homs, like Abu Dali, Abu Hakfa, and Kalfa.
It even mentions public buses being stopped.
Yes, the report claims public buses in western Homs were being regularly stopped by security agents who would beat Shia youth. It's clear the report is trying to show a widespread pattern of alleged abuses on that particular day.
That's quite a grim picture the report paints for May 13th in Homs. And the reported raids continued later in the month, too.
They did. May 14th, western Homs again. The report mentions what it terms rogue factions, launching raids in Hadida and Ain Altina al-Sharqiya, resulting in arrests and injuries from random gunfire.
Then May 16th.
Security forces again, this time reportedly accompanied by loyalist militants. Raiding villages in western Homs Hadida, Bayan, Al-Nasa, Al-Mashrafa are named.
And the report adds context here.
It does. It notes residents stayed home out of fear, and it explicitly links this atmosphere to a, quote, dire living crisis and food shortages happening at the same time in the area. People apparently resorting to wild herbs for food.
Then the report gives a broader summary for May 18th.
Yes, it states there were widespread arbitrary raids and arrests that day across Shia-majority cities in Homs, Hama, Latakia, and Tartus, so spanning multiple provinces.
And it differentiates the alleged perpetrators.
It does. It said some raids were by official forces, others by unidentified gunmen. Detainees were reportedly mistreated, held in undisclosed locations, belongings confiscated.
And the victims? Who were they, according to the report?
The report states they included people who'd previously received amnesty, students, farmers, even healthcare and education workers. So the report seems to suggest the targeting was quite broad.
Okay. And the reported raids continued towards the very end of the month as well.
Yes. May 21st, security-led raids reported in the Banyayas countryside, Tartus, targeting Bustan al-Hammam and Al-Garcia villages. Entrances sealed, gunmen spreading out.
Gunfire reported.
Gunfire and arrests specifically mentioned in Bustan al-Hammam. Tensions and arrests also noted in Al-Garcia.
May 28th.
Al-Hafa, northern Latakia. Gunmen reportedly raided homes, opened fire, arrested 2 local youths.
And finally, May 30th.
Barmaya, again in the Banyayas countryside. The report states government-affiliated gunmen raided homes, arrested 2 residents, a 70-year-old retiree, and a 55-year-old municipal employee.
All right, that covers the arrests and raids section for Syria, according to the report. Let's shift to the next major category, SRW details. Killings and shootings. This also sounds quite extensive in the report.
It is, unfortunately. The report documents numerous fatal incidents throughout May in Syria, starting on May 3rd in Kafrnan, northern Homs countryside.
What happened there?
Unidentified gunmen reportedly killed 4 farmers while they were working in their fields. The report even lists their names: Safa Kader al-Abbas, Nashmiya Ibrahim Eid, Nazmiya Suwaid, and Namir al-Mustafa.
And the report includes details about how it happened.
Yes, it cites eyewitness accounts claiming the victims were directly targeted, shot at close range, suggesting premeditation, according to the source.
Also on May 3rd, another fatal incident.
3 civilians from one family, Musab Zublo, Amjad Zublo, Maj Zublo, reportedly killed by gunfire from an unidentified armed group. This was on agricultural land zone Ain Badria village, western Al-Ghab plain. Died instantly, the report notes.
The next day, May 4th.
A woman reportedly killed, her husband injured, shot by 2 individuals on a motorcycle while the couple was on their balcony. This was in the Wadi al-Dahab neighborhood of Homs City.
May 5th.
Mohammed Abdul Latif Ismail, reportedly killed by direct gunfire from unidentified gunmen right outside his home in Al-Zafrana Al-Gharbia village. They apparently knocked on his door first.
It seems May 6th, like May 13th, was another day with multiple killings documented in the report.
That's what the SRW report indicates, yes. Several incidents listed for that day.
Such as?
Ali Muna killed, Jafar Muna seriously injured, shot by 2 gunmen on a motorcycle in the Al-Jibibat area near Jabla City in Latakia countryside. Also that day, 4 civilians reportedly killed while working in fields in Ain al-Juza village, Salamfa area. An armed group attack, according to the report.
And in Hama countryside.
Northern Hama area. Yeah. 2 young men, named as Hussein Ahmad Abu Hassan and Asif Ahmad Abu Hassan, killed. A 3rd injured. Again, unidentified gunmen reportedly shot them while they were irrigating land.
Still on May 6th, another incident involving an alleged affiliate of the administration.
Yes. The report states an armed group, described as affiliated with the new Syrian administration, stormed Belkasa village in western Homs. They reportedly shot and killed a young Alawite man, then arrested his father and 2 brothers. The report seems keen to point out the different alleged perpetrators involved in the violence.
Okay. Moving to May 10th, 2 separate shooting deaths reported in Homs City.
That's right. Rafat Mahmoud al-Jarash, shot dead in the Al-Shamas neighborhood. And Mohammed Suleiman Yunes, a taxi driver, reportedly shot and killed inside his vehicle in the Karm Shamsham neighborhood.
The report also mentions a specific foreign faction involved in killings around this time.
It does. It specifically calls out a faction comprised of Uzbek and Turkestani fighters reportedly based in the Karface area.
And what does the report accuse them of?
Executing civilians, including a child, near Zama town in the Latakia countryside. This same group allegedly fired directly at civilians in Zama and nearby Ain al-Sharqiya villages, killing at least 4. The report identifies 2 victims as Hilal Ali and Anwar Hamada. SRW clearly thought identifying the alleged origin of these fighters was important context.
Right. Moving on to May 18th.
Hama countryside again. Unidentified gunmen reportedly attacked 2 young men on a motorcycle traveling between Bahrain and Masyaf. Ali Assad was killed, Sanaa Shahud injured.
Also May 18th, but in Tartus countryside.
Al-Balutia village. Gunmen reportedly fired shots randomly, killing a young man named Darar Ibrahim. So the report indicates both targeted and random violence occurred.
The next day, May 19th, a reported murder with specific details.
Yes, an engineer assistant, Mohammed Mahoob Aboud, originally from Tartus, found murdered in his apartment in the Jendar housing complex, Homs. The report states his hands were bound and his throat was slit. Quite graphic details included by the source.
May 22nd.
Latakia countryside, Qataria village. Masked gunmen reportedly shot and killed a young man near an agricultural office.
Then May 24th in Tartus stands out in the report, with 3 murders documented almost simultaneously.
Yeah, the report details 3 incidents that night. Shadi Mahmoud Fosik shot dead outside his barbershop in Majnun al-Bar by 3 gunmen in a specific type of vehicle. Hikmat Saleh reportedly murdered near the Al-Khaibat Bridge. And Hassan Tufan shot twice in the head, dying instantly. The report gives these specific, distinct circumstances for each.
May 26th, another attack on farmers.
Yes, in Al-Qadisiyah, Latakia countryside. 5 civilians, reportedly from the Mala and Zubari families, killed while farming. Gunmen on motorcycles again, 2 others injured, 1 critically, the report adds.
And towards the end of the month, May 29th?
2 incidents noted. First, a young man severely injured when gunmen fired at him on a rural road in Phila village, Homs.
And second,
an armed group reportedly stormed Al-Qadimiyah village, also in Homs, and executed a local resident named Muhammad Ali Aslan. Again, the report highlighting alleged targeted killings.
Okay, so beyond the raids and killings, the Syria section in the SRW report also documents kidnappings, disappearances, and some other types of incidents, correct?
Yes, that's the third main category for Syria in the report. For example, on May 6th, it notes the body of Louay Hassan Darwish was found in Al-Muwassat Hospital in Damascus. He'd been missing since May 4th, reportedly last seen working as a taxi driver.
There's also a complex case involving a young woman reported on May 8th?
Right. Mira Jalal Fabet from Takalak City. She reportedly appeared wearing Afghan attire alongside a man who claimed they were married. This was after she was allegedly kidnapped the previous month, despite being engaged to someone else.
And her family.
Her father reported her disappearance, according to the source, but was then arrested himself for supposedly filing a false report. So yeah, multiple layers of alleged violations reported in that single case.
May 14th, another reported kidnapping.
Boj Nazi Darwish, 28 years old, reportedly kidnapped near the Siano intersection in Jableh, apparently received a phone call, then was intercepted by 2 masked men in cars.
May 19th, a kidnapping for ransom.
Yes. Hani Fitna, described as a young bread distributor, reportedly abducted in Sukara village, eastern Homs. The kidnappers allegedly demanded a $70,000 ransom.
And a robbery also reported that day.
Separately on the Zaid al-Homs road. Gunmen reportedly robbed Isamunder Qasim, took his vehicle, which was loaded with food, and his phone.
Kidnapping of students reported on May 24th.
Yes, the report documents armed groups allegedly stopping a vehicle in Homs countryside and kidnapping 4 university students. It names them: Samir Melham, Hamza Zamzam, Khalid Al-Said, and Ali Ahmad, specifying the victim's status as students.
And another case of a missing person found deceased.
On May 26th, yes, the body of Samir Fahima Farah was reportedly found in the Al-Ware neighborhood of Homs. He'd gone missing near an area called Talat Rakan.
So when SRW summarizes this whole Syria section, what's the main takeaway they emphasize?
They really reiterate the widespread nature of arbitrary raids and arrests in what they identify as Shia-majority cities across Homs, Hama, Latakia, and Tartus. They stress the involvement of various types of perpetrators, the alleged mistreatment, detainees held incommunicado, belongings confiscated. The report seems very focused on conveying the breadth and variety of alleged abuses happening in Syria during May.
Okay. Finally, the report includes a section on Saudi Arabia. What incidents does it detail there?
Yes. On May 3rd, the report states that Saudi authorities executed 2 brothers, Hassan and Abdullah Muhammad Gaith. They were from Al-Malaha village in Qatif. The report describes the charges as political.
Then another execution recorded shortly after.
May 10th, authorities reportedly executed Abdulaziz Abu Abdullah, described as a detainee from Alawamiya, also in Qatif. The report focuses on these specific individuals and locations within the eastern province.
It also mentions an arrest of a non-Saudi cleric.
It does. May 17th, Authorities reportedly arrested Allama Ghulam Hasnain Widani, described as a prominent Pakistani cleric from Quetta, arrested at Taif Airport, with no explanation provided, according to the report, so it widens the scope beyond just Saudi citizens.
And lastly, for Saudi Arabia, a court sentencing.
On May 29th, the report highlights a court decision in Riyadh. 2 young detainees from Al-Awamiya Abdullah Mohammed Al-Faraj and Ahmad Mohammed Al-Manasif were sentenced to death.
And the report adds a specific detail here.
Yes, SRW makes a point of stating that both individuals were reportedly under the age of 19 when they were arrested 2 years prior. Emphasizing their age at the time of arrest seems significant to the report's authors.
Okay, so if we look across all these countries and the specific incidents documented in this SRW report, how does SRW sort of frame the overall picture?
Well, it goes back to those 2 broad categories they mentioned at the start, right?
Yeah.
The report presents this range of alleged violations.
Right. On one hand, you have incidents the report presents as potentially involving state actors or those affiliated with them, like the prayer restrictions reported in Bahrain, the executions and detentions in Saudi Arabia.
And in Syria, the alleged arrests, the eviction threats near Metza, and the actions attributed to government-affiliated groups or security forces.
And then on the other hand,
Actions allegedly carried out by what the report terms extremist groups or, quite often, unidentified groups, like the attack reported in Afghanistan, the grenade attack in Pakistan.
And many of the incidents in Syria, the killings, shootings, kidnappings, where the report often identifies perpetrators simply as unidentified gunmen, armed groups, or sometimes those specific foreign factions.
Exactly. It covers that spectrum of alleged perpetrators as presented in the source.
And just to underline again what the source itself states, SRW says in this report that they don't have political goals, their aim is justice, and this is based only on the information they gathered and presented here.
In analyzing a report like this, you really see the inherent challenges, don't you? Documenting alleged human rights violations, especially in these kinds of complex, difficult circumstances.
Absolutely. And we know going through this level of detail, particularly for Syria, it's heavy content. But our aim today was simply to help you understand the specific incidents and claims documented by Shia Rights Watch for that May 1st to June 1st, 2025 period, exactly as presented in the source material we had. Nothing more, nothing less.
And maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. Something drawn directly from the report itself. SRW explicitly mentions that they sometimes refrain from documenting violations.
All right.
Due to the absence of conclusive evidence, despite being certain of their occurrence in some countries.
So the question for you is, what does that statement coming from the organization that produced this report tell you about the practical difficulties, about the complexities involved in the work of documenting human rights violations and trying to build an accurate account of events in situations where information might be scarce, dangerous to obtain, or hard to verify?
Something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the report.